love to get out to explore my local city. It's how I discovered one of my favorite paddle locations, Cootes Paradise. Cootes Paradise, Hamilton, Ontario, paddling location details. Here we go. Cootes Paradise is part of Lake Ontario, one of the 5 Great Lakes, and is hidden in around RBG, which is the Royal Botanical Gardens, in Hamilton, Dundas area, between the Hamilton Harbor and the Burlington Harbor. Cootes is an overall top location for a number of reasons. A, you can't believe you're in the city of Hamilton because you're surrounded by nature.
It always shocks me, but this is right in the middle of Hamilton and Burlington, Ontario. It's a little sliver of paradise, of nature, that I never would have known about if it wasn't for paddling. Makes you wonder what other spots there are out there that are right in your backyard that you have no idea about. Get out there and go explore.
B, the sunrises are amazing.
Honestly, nothing beats a sunrise at Cootes Paradise in Hamilton. Eat your morning coffee. It's still the smells. The beavers are out. It's awesome. Yes.
C, tons of wildlife. And my favorite part, the beavers.
Spring is the best time to see the beavers. They're super active, getting everything ready for their babies to come out. Beaver babies are called kits, but the alliteration of beaver babies is, I like that a little bit better.
Cootes, there is free parking, and that is a top priority because I believe that nature is accessible to everyone. We all need to care for it and love for it, and then also have accessibility to it. There are 2 main launch points at Cootes Paradise. My favorite is on Cootes Drive in Dundas, and it's under the Cootes Drive Bridge, labeled on Google Maps as Cootes Paradise Trail Parking. Now I'm gonna link in the description notes my blog post to it where you can see map, photos, videos, all of that good stuff. Bit of a walk from the Cootes Trail Parking on Cootes Drive down to under the bridge.
This is how you get in and out at Cootes Drive. Muddy, a little bit steep, not the friendliest of launch points, but it's a beaut.
I wouldn't recommend this location for beginners. It's not a friendly entrance point. It's muddy, it's steeper, it's a bit trickier to get on your board.
It's a muddy one.
For that reason, you need to be pretty good at being able to manage all your gear. Obviously, the more things you have, the more difficult it is. You almost have to throw your board in the water, kind of crawl down the mud area and get on your board. I always wear rubber boots because of this reason.
So this is the launch point here. Definitely rubber boots are highly recommended.
Launch point 1 is a tricky launch. The other launch point is by Hydro 1 off of Olympic Drive. Free parking as well. More of a walk. There's a concrete block that is in your way that you need to get over and down. It's a friendlier entrance point, more like little small pebbly beach. There's fishermen sometimes in the way. The difficulty with this location is that in late summer to fall, it can be really shallow, which brings me to another point. I would highly recommend short river fin. I never put on my 9-inch touring fin Cootes. I have a 4.6 bendy, gummy river fin. So it's flexible. So any logs that come up, you don't want them snagging your fin. Those log snags will dunk you in the water, no problem. Because there's so many sunken logs and it's difficult to see, and some parts are very shallow, you want the small river fin. I'll do a link to my blog with fins. With the weather and this location, it's a lot easier to go out if Lake Ontario is blowing and wavy and too gnarly for a nice paddle. Cootes is usually a little bit more protected. Like all paddling, you do need to look up the weather and wind. And with Cootes, you need to keep in mind it is a creek flowing out into Lake Ontario. So you do need to keep in mind, especially in the springtime, if you're doing cold weather paddling, that stream current is a lot stronger. And you do have the more difficult part of the paddle on the way back in the spring because there are no launch points that you can go up the creek unless the water level's really high. I recommend going summertime. Water levels will still be high, creek won't be as strong, and it'll be a nice, relaxing, sheltered paddle. The route you want to take, you want to head out towards Lake Ontario. If you have the ability, based on the water level, to go up the creek, absolutely go explore, go have fun. But like I said, that's usually early on in the spring that you're able to do that. And you can paddle pretty far out into the bay where Princess Point is. And then if you do want, you can portage over into the open bay, the harbor front of Hamilton. There's actually a fishway there to protect Cootes Paradise from invasive species like the carp. So you do have a short trip over into where Bayfront is and the Hamilton Harbor. So you can do that and you can paddle into Bayfront. I'll also link my launch point locations for Bayfront and Princess Point blogs in the description. A few tips for this location. There's no washrooms. Make sure you go before or have no shame and find a bush to go in. There is a walking trail in that area and people do fish, so it's not completely in the middle of nowhere, but you will have the ability to sneak off into a bush if you do need to go. Second tip, like I said, use that short river fin. Third, bring a camera, binoculars. You'll see a ton of wildlife. It'll be amazing.
Here we are, out in nature, on an adventure. So cool.
They're definitely not used to people, so you want to bring something that you can see them from afar. Tip number 4, bring something to help you clean up afterwards and wear rubber boots. Like I said, you get money going in and out, and because of this, your board also gets money. So when you're tidying up and getting ready to go, I'll usually get mud on what I'm wearing. So it's always a good idea to bring an extra change of clothes or bring a towel, different shoes, all of that good stuff. Tip number 5, once you've gone in the daylight, I highly recommend going for sunrise. Especially you'll see more beavers because beavers are nocturnal, and it is a beautiful view and a great way to start your day.
This is my favorite part of Cootes. Come around the bend, the sun's coming up. It's warm, there's mist off of the water. It's perfect.
Tip number 6, if it's one of your first or second time, take note of where you left from and your path throughout. Often when the water levels are a little bit higher, there's little inlets and little creeks that you can mistake and go up and think, oh shoot, did the water level drop down and now I'm lost or I can't get back? Guilty. I had that the first time I went out at Cootes. We thought it was dam control and ended up removing our fin and walking in the mud. And it ended up being a pretty fun day, but it was a bit of a disaster from a navigation standpoint. So note where you came from. Overall, if you followed me on social media for a while, you know I'm a huge supporter of Cootes. Cootes is my go-to. It's my favorite Hamilton spot, and I would say it's one of my favorite spots to paddle, so be sure to check it out. The conditions to paddle are beginner-friendly, but the launch point is not beginner-friendly. It is a great paddle to just relax, sit back, have a nice morning coffee, take in the wildlife.
Coffee and sunrises and beavers.
Let me know if you have any questions. And if you go check out Cootes Paradise in Hamilton, Ontario, let me know how it goes. Tag me in any social media. Until next time, happy paddling. Have a great adventure.